Do you find yourself having a productivity streak for several days, but all of a sudden feel like shutting down and not wanting to do anything productive? It might happen as soon as you hear the morning alarm go off, and before you can register anything, you've hit that snooze button. Or after sticking to a healthy meal plan and workout routine during the weekdays, you have a sudden urge to just crash on your sofa and binge on some snacks while staring at a screen or two as soon as the weekend starts. If you want to break the cycle of falling back into old habits, then welcome back. Alex of ONILIFE. In this episode, we'll be looking at how our mind likes to drag us back to our old behaviours and how to implement a simple yet powerful technique to create a new desirable behaviour within ourselves. To start, we're going to look at how a habit forms. When you engage in a behaviour for the first time and it's a pleasurable or there's some kind of positive reinforcement of it, for example, feeling included within your peer group, this will lead to your brain releasing dopamine in the hypothalamus, the middle part of your brain. Recap from ONILIFE, episode 11. This will reinforce the behaviour, like when you play a game and find it pleasurable, you'll want to play another game. Over time though, our brain wants to use a different circuit called the cannabinoid circuit or the habit circuit. Compared to the initial dopamine circuit, the cannabinoid circuit doesn't release as much pleasure from doing the behaviour. For example, if you're watching videos online, you'll find that the first few are going to be very entertaining as dopamine is being released, but if you're still binging on videos after a few hours, the cannabinoid circuit takes over and you won't find it as much fun. Even though you're not enjoying, you find that it's difficult to stop the behaviour, because at this point what's happened is that the source of behavioural reinforcement has moved into this automatic mode, the computer team. This habit circuitry is controlled by a different neurotransmitter, which are called endocannabinoids. Therefore, if we were to define a habit, it's an unconscious behaviour. For example, if you have a habit of biting your fingernails, you tend to bite them without thinking about moving the hand towards your mouth and then biting down onto your fingernails. It just happens automatically. When we actively try to change behaviour through willpower, we take control using the human part of the mind in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, DLPFC, found in the frontal lobes. The problem is we have a limited amount of willpower. The human team, we can expand and it's not as powerful or fast as our automatic systems, the computer team, or our amygdala system, the chimp team. This is especially the case when we try to break an undesirable habit or a lesser ONI habit, like stopping ourselves from snacking. As there's no pleasure, no dopamine, and no behavioural reinforcement, people tend to fail when trying to break them through willpower. This is why we snap back to our lesser ONI beliefs, undesirable habits like a rubber band going back to its original form after being released. This is called homeostasis. In cybernetics and biology, the tendency towards a relatively stable equilibrium between interdependent elements, especially as maintained by physiological processes. The solution to breaking out of these homeostases is to practice awareness. Awareness is both the internal and external observation of yourself. Internal observation, mindfulness, is the same process as meditation when you're observing your current thought and its motion coursing through your body. The external observation, perception, is the ability of being aware of something through the five senses, so taste, smell, vision, hearing, and touch. For example, if you want to stop the habit of gambling at a casino, as a certain baseball translator may be interested in hearing about, you want to be hyper-aware, mindful of your internal dialogue. So thought might say, I've worked hard all day, I deserve an hour or two at the table. And your emotion might be self-compassion. Another thought, I might win big time this time. Emotion, greed. Thought, I had an argument with my partner last night. I just don't want to go home yet. Emotion, nervousness, avoidance. As well as being hyper-aware of the five senses, be aware of all the noise in the room, coming from the BGM, machines, and the people. Focus on the smell, the taste of the cigarettes and body odour clouding the room. The sensation of cards, chips, and coins running through your fingers. And finally, see everything from the minute change in expressions of the people around you to the way the entire building is laid out. Entering this state of awareness forces you to use a different part of the brain, from automatic habit system to parts of the prefrontal cortex. Awareness doesn't actually use any willpower, as you're not actually trying to change the habit, but be intentional with the usage of the undesirable habit. Therefore, the moment you're in the awareness state, you aren't engaged with the habit system, meaning that you're slowly chipping away at the bad habit neurons by not allowing them to fire together. The opposite happens for people with addictions. They're not aware of what they're doing. So you often hear an addict say they just lost track of time when they've been engaged in their addiction. They don't have any memory of it. It's the lack of awareness of internal emotional state. If you're unaware of your internal thoughts and emotions, then you won't notice when stress from work, relationships, and life starts building up, which usually becomes a trigger for the bad habit to hijack your brain. In order to make your awareness practice more effective, there are 5 techniques you can apply to it. 1. Focus on overcoming just one lesser ONI belief or bad habit at a time. It can sometimes take several months depending on how severe the addiction, and give yourself pragmatic expectations. Expect the lesser ONI backlash to be more intense and last longer if you've been doing it for longer, you do it often, you receive great amounts of pleasure from it, you are tied socially to it, you have a fond memory attached to it, you identify with it, you're genetically inclined towards it, or you've been rewarded for it. So that's 8 points you've got to calculate. 2. Figure out what you do before you start the lesser ONI belief so you can avoid the trigger. For example, I have a tendency of browsing my phone in bed, so have a set clear rules of no phones in bed. 3. Write down your thoughts, emotion, behaviour in either a small notepad or on your phone as soon as it arises. So before you forget, here's another good use of the journal. 4. Practice visualization, where you replace the inner dialogue and its emotion with a more desirable dialogue and emotion. 5. Practice mindfulness meditation. The more willpower you develop, the more often you're going to catch yourself falling back into the lesser ONI belief, and the easier it's going to be to stop yourself from doing it. Unfortunately, even if you apply all this information, it won't mean that you'll instantly be able to overcome your bad habits. They're very stubborn. Therefore, don't expect quick fixes, and give yourself time, patience, and love during this process, as feelings of guilt and condemning yourself will only add to your misery and prolong the process. Try to see the practice of awareness as mastery of one of the domains within your mind, an inner journey of ups and downs that you get to develop throughout your entire life. I really appreciate you for watching this episode all the way through to the end. I hope you're able to learn something new and that you can apply it to your life today. As I've just started this channel, I would really appreciate any feedback you might have about the content of this video or how to make ONILIFE grow so that it can help more people. In next week's episode, we'll be looking at self-image, which is an essential concept for someone who wants to have more personal growth within your life. Until then, I hope you have an amazing week. Peace out.